April the 18th, the 54th day of full-scale Russian war against Ukraine. The enemy has started an offensive operation in the east.
Зараз вже можна констатувати, що російські війська розпочали битву за Донбас, до якої давно готувались. Дуже значна частина всієї російської армії зараз концентрована для цього наступу. Скільки б туди не згоняли російських військових, ми будемо боротись.
The Russian military men are gathering pace in Donetsk, Luhansk and Kharkiv region. Occupiers shelled the city of Mykolaiv at night again. Locals reported about explosions in different parts of the city. The enemy also dropped the forbidden phosphorus bombs on the town of Gulaipole in Zaporizhia region. Civilians attempting to evacuate from Kremenna were shot by the occupiers. It was reported by Serhiy Gaidai, head of the Luhansk military administration. The Russians opened fire on a car with civilians. 4 people were killed. A hard-fought battle for the city had lasted for 3 days. But on April the 18th, the town of Kremenna was taken by the occupiers. This was reported by the head of the local military administration, Alexander Dunets. But according to Alexei Arestovich, advisor to the head of the president's office, street fighting continues there. The president of Ukraine said in an interview to CNN that the battle for Donbas is crucial because it could change the course of the war. The city of Kharkiv is red with blood again as the occupiers keep constantly shelling the city. On April the 18th, the missile hit directly at the children's playground. Many residential areas of the city were under the airstrikes. As a result, the building of one of the Orthodox cathedrals was also damaged. There were many citizens hiding in the premises of the church. According to Oleg Senegubov, the head of Kharkiv regional administration, at least 5 people were killed and 17 injured as a result of the strikes. And the summer cottages have become the strategic war goals of the invaders in the city of Dnipro. Fortunately, there were no victims. The first civilian casualties from the shelling of Lviv, the city in western Ukraine.
Влучання в складські приміщення, які на даний момент не використовувались військовими, а також одне влучання по станції техобслуговування автомобілів.
40 vehicles of the station caught fire as a result of the attack. Also, by the time of the attack, there were about 20 people who had come to work in the morning. The heat wave blew out the windows in 8 apartment buildings and in the school. One of the debris from the missile hit a children's shelter. According to preliminary data, as a result of the air attack on Lviv, 7 people were killed, 4 of them employees of the car service station. 11 people were wounded. Among the wounded is a 3-year-old boy. He and his mother moved to Lviv from Kharkiv, which the occupiers shell every day. But the war caught them in the city, which they considered to be a safe place.
Розбилося вікно, був потужний вибух, і йому відсікло півпальчика.
The baby was in surgery. Now his life is not in a danger. However, 3 more people injured in the shelling of Lviv are in intensive care now in an extreme condition with multiple injuries. Shells hitting warehouses and the car repair service is an additional evidence of the fact that the Russians are targeting civilian objects, not sparing civilians. After all, Lviv is now the country's main humanitarian hub. There are about 200,000 temporarily displaced people in the city evacuated from cities where active hostilities are taking place. Street graves without any names. In the village of Bogdanivka, which is not far from Kyiv, locals marked the grave of Ukrainians killed by the occupiers with the number of the car in which they had been shot. In this way, they tried to find relatives of the dead. There were hundreds of destroyed cars in which civilians tried to save their families from the war. Another graveyard of such cars was revealed in the Kyiv region. Many of the vehicles were burned to the ground or shot, despite the special inscription on them saying children. For 54 days of war, 4-year-old Alisa have stayed in the bomb shelter in Mariupol, and her only wish now is
А где ты сейчас находишься? Тебе здесь нравится?
Хочу домой к себе.
Alice's mom is a paramedic, and in a hospital in the shelter of the Azovstal plant, she treats the wounded. At least 1,000 people are hiding there with them. They are mostly elderly people, women and children.
Прийшли сюди, моєму синочку було 3 місяці.
The Russians are aware of this, but nevertheless, they continue shelling the Azovstal plant, the Mariupol city council said. The Ukrainian authorities demand that the occupiers allow green corridors, but they are not letting the civilians out of Mariupol and are literally wiping the city off the face of the earth. Russian propaganda began spreading information that all Mariupol residents who are in the city now may receive compensation for their damaged houses and rubbles, the currency of Russia. In this way, the occupiers are trying to force the Ukrainians to cooperate with them. The only thing is, most of the houses have been turned into ruins. 7-year-old Makar managed to escape from the shelling with his parents, and he recorded this video on his 7th birthday to show what so-called Ruski Mir have done to his house.
А это мой дом. Вот, это мой дом. Спасибо спасителям из России, что сделали вот такое. Ну, то, что вы сейчас видите.
Ukrainian military mayor Serhiy Volina wrote a letter to Pope Francis from a city under siege. Mariupol can be saved. We are ready to fight to the last drop of blood. The time has come when the only prayers cannot help. After the bombing of the drama theater, no one trusts Russian occupiers. Bring the truth to the world. Evacuate people and save their lives from the hands of the Satan, who wants to burn every living thing. He calls what the Russians have done to Mariupol the hell on the earth.
Where can you find a safe place if your city is under siege? Is it an usual residential building? No. In hospitals or schools?
Третья больница, Мариуполь. Роддом.
No. In a theater, the heart of your city. Far away from any military objects. Yes, that's a good idea. Is there any other way we could warn Russian pilots about kids hiding in the theater? Yes, capital letters, in Russian. That way we will definitely be safe. But only if murdering our children isn't their goal.